night of love pure and divine helps me remember who I really am. In every face it's clear we're all God's children here, and it feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home. It's a place to share your burden. It's safe to shed a tear. Say a prayer and raise your voice in song. Where every heart is honored and every path is true. No one's here to judge you right or wrong. And there's no shame, no sin in this place where love begins. And it feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home.
Let's join our hearts together in prayer. In this moment, we center our attention on the divine spirit of love, the one power that ignites our experience of this life. We align with this presence of love, allowing all else to fall away. With God as our source, we are called to step up, to step out, to step with faith in the direction of our unique inspiration. I am new. I am fresh. I am courageous. I am bold. I am supported. I am free. And so it is.
It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home.
It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of future pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let ecstasy fill you to your tips of your fingers and your toes, without cautioning us to be careful, be realistic, and remember the limitations of being human. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, and weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand at the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself, and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender.
Good morning, everybody. It is wonderful to see you on this first day, our first Sunday of the year. It's so great to have all of you here. Last week, while you did the burning bowl up here, we all got to do a burning bowl downstairs. This week, as you have your white stone ceremony, we will also be having our own sacred time downstairs. And next week, you can look forward to our Youth and Family Ministry hospitality. The theme is dragons next week. Apparently, Stacy gets very creative with Stacy, we miss Stacy, so let's all send our love. Stacy is sick today. So let's all send our love and blessings to Stacy for quick healing to her. So yes, we have, I believe it's International Dragons in Literacy Day coming up. So that's what we'll be celebrating. So feel free to dress or bring anything dragon inspired next week for hospitality.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender.
What a great crew, huh? Fantastic, yes. Well, Happy New Year. Thank you. Welcome to Unity in Linwood. We're so glad that each and every one of you is here. You know, across faith traditions, and certainly in Unity, we celebrate and recognize this whole notion of newness. when the past falls away, all things are created fresh and new. We celebrate that in this new moment that we have right now, and right now, and right now, and all of the new that is ahead for us, the possibilities and the potentials that are available to each and every one of us. For hours and hours of my misspent youth, I watched a lot of television. Probably far too much, really, by any measure. But one of the shows I enjoyed during summer times was The Price is Right. You know, the old one with Bob Barker with that long silver microphone he'd stand there so confidently on the stage with. He would call someone out from the studio audience, and he'd say, "Come on down," right? And they'd come. The 4 lucky potential winners were right there in front of him, and they would guess a price of the thing that they had shown. And the one who was closest, remember, right? They'd be able to come up on stage, and then they would get to play the game, whatever the game was. And they'd get to find out at the very beginning of the game what they might be playing for, right? And he would look over to those sliding doors with the logo of The Price is Right in it, and they would open up, remember, right? And he'd say, "You could win a new car," right? And everyone would like cheer and scream and yell, and the contestant was super enthusiastic, right? They'd jump up and down, while Bob Barker just had a knowing smile on his face about this whole process. They hadn't even won the car yet, and they were so excited, right? That's the way that newness is, right? No matter what the possibility is, we just get excited of that potential, that there's something in all of us that has the ability to bring into our lives something that is uniquely ours, and that in playing the game, that is the process. Here at Unity in Linwood, we each have the opportunity to play this game of life and to create from our own individual uniqueness a new life, a new opportunity that's ahead of us, and let the old fall away. And in this community, we have the support of this studio audience to jump up and down and cheer for us as we create that new life together. I have someone who I'm going to call out of the studio audience right now, actually. Don't be scared, right? To come and talk to us a little bit about service here in our community. Nina Clark, come on down.
A new car. Well, I have a little different talk than Bob Barker. First, I want to share with you that last month I had the good fortune to attend the candlelighting service at the Unity of Skagit Valley in Mount Vernon. On that evening, the minister, Linda Spencer, said, among many beautiful things, "In service, we receive everything. In service, we receive everything." Then last week, I was brought a story about a woman who is a volunteer organizer at a local hospital. She was sharing her sadness about one of her volunteers who had quit because it wasn't fun anymore. The volunteer organizer was very concerned that she wasn't doing a good job. How could she make this fun for her team of volunteers? The person she was commiserating with was equally mystified, but for a different reason. She replied, "That's not why people should be volunteering. Hospitals aren't fun. Sometimes we have fun, but that's not why we serve. We serve because it needs doing, because a hand needs holding, a tear needs wiping, a laugh needs sharing. And if we're present while we do this, we've done some good. And when we walk out of a patient's room, we realize that we've received as much as we've given. In service, we receive everything. When we serve, we realize that we've received as much, or sometimes very much more, than we've given. Spiritual masters of any age seem to agree that spiritual practice consists of prayer or meditation, tithing, and service. And sometimes this is fun, but that's not why we do it. Prayer and meditation can be fun or pleasurable, but that's not why we do it. Tithing can be great fun, but that's not why we do it. Service can be a whole lot of fun, but that's not why we do it. Community and service go hand in hand. Service is the glue that holds a community together. We serve here because things need doing. This beautiful building is ours together. These grounds are ours together. This work we do in the world, we do together. United in a common cause, united in what we believe in, united in our belief in each other, and in this divine idea that we call unity in Linwood, we rally around, no matter how different we may be in other ways. So, of course, we all help take care of it and each other, just as we would our own homes. Of course, we care for the grounds, and we teach our children, and we keep things clean, because that's what we do for our community home and the people we love, and for the place that belongs to us. Like we sing in the morning, this place that feels like home, this place where we belong. Sometimes we have fun, but that's not why we do it. And the magic is when we put our name tag away at the end of a job well done, we all know that we've received much more than we've given. For in service, we receive everything. On January 21st, after both services, we will be hosting a service fair where you'll have the opportunity to chat with those who are in service now and learn about the various opportunities for service here at Unity in Linwood. It will be fun, but it's not why we're doing it.
Thank you, Nina. Oh. I love our team. Thank you, Cameron. And that wasn't planned. By me, anyway. That's all you. In addition to service, we also practice prayer here at Unity in Linwood. Our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, had some words that they encourage us about prayer. Let's take them in. Charles says this: you can make yourself a new creature, and you can build the world about you to your highest ideals. Do not fear, but speak to the law supreme, the desires of your heart. And Myrtle Fillmore says this: we have a very decided part. We are to cease worrying and being anxious and thinking and speaking of the past, of the apparent lack in idleness. We are to concentrate all our attention upon the truth of God and the truth of our own being, upon the very things we would see taking place in our lives. If you have a prayer request, something you would like to see happen in your life, you can access prayer support here in a variety of ways. There is a prayer card in the seat back in front of you. Put that prayer request on it and put it in the offering basket as it goes by later in the service. Or you can call our confidential prayer line anytime during the week or leave a prayer request on our website. If you would like a time of personal prayer at the end of service, you can come on down to the front of the sanctuary and meet with one of our prayer chaplains. They're wearing purple prayer stoles around their neck. In fact, let's recognize our prayer chaplains today. Could you stand up if you're a prayer chaplain here with us? Thank you for your service. Thank you. They would love to meet you in a time of personal prayer. One particular form of prayer that we practice here at Unity is that of affirmative prayer. Today's affirmation's on the screen behind me, and that's fun, huh? All that's ahead. Good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and read it once, and let's take it into our hearts, into our minds, and then I'm going to invite you, if you'd like, to stand and join with me. I am new, fresh, and full of vigor. If you'd like, you can stand. And together, I am new, fresh, and full of vigor. Let's greet those around us, and we'll come back together for some great music.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Oh, good morning, Unity in Linwood. Good morning, Unity in Linwood. Good morning, Unity in Linwood. Myrtle Fillmore wrote, and I quote, "The very word new gives a welcome because there's something in the makeup of humankind that craves the freshness that the word suggests. So why not give the word new a place every day? Why not, upon first awaking, remind ourselves that this is a fresh new day full of opportunities and fragrant with possibilities." Fragrant with possibilities. I quite love that. God did not endow us with a brain, with soul, and with spirit, only to have us get entangled in the web of habit. The restrictions of yesterday have no power to overshadow our lives today. Let us begin our day with newness of thought, with newness of courage. Let us, at the beginning of the new year, throw the doors of our hearts and homes open to the new. See yourself new, fresh, full of vigor. That which was irksome and stale now takes on a new, fresh delight. End quote. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Your assignment for the week, of course, is to use the word irksome 3 times. Oh, everybody's invited to join your Board of Trustees next Sunday following this service. At approximately 12:30, we will have our annual financials meeting, review the 2017 performance, the current position, and the future budget for our beloved organization. And then Matthew and I are delighted to present an event we've presented before. We call it Chocolate Cabaret. It'll be on Wednesday evening, February 14th. An excellent guest. Thank you, Ms. Winders. The evening will feature love songs and chocolate and wine. These are available in your spiritual gift shop. Please consider joining us. If you are not partnered, fear not. We have ways of making you comfortable. The words belong to Charles Fillmore. He used them before he would begin to teach. If you feel so inclined, you may repeat after me. His words were as follows: I am. I am now. I am now in the presence of pure being. And immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and your power. O blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom. Now erase my mortal limitations. And from your pure substance of love. Bring into manifestation my world. According to your perfect law. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I'll give him a white stone, and a new name written on the stone, which no one knows, but he who receives it, but she who receives it. I trust you received a future letter document on your way in the door this morning. May I see it, please? This is my elementary school teacher coming out to play. Thank you for indulging me. I believe you also received a white stone. Am I correct? May I see it in the air, please? Well done. If you missed either of these delightful items, you're welcome to place your hand in the air, and a member of the welcome team would be happy to meet your needs. All right, keep them up. Boy, look at them scramble. Oh. Okay. We'll distribute the letters. Here's a stone right here. Who would like a stone? Nan Allen, do you want a stone? Your hand is in the air. Bless you, Nan Allen. Nancy Joy has an extra stone. Thank you. The generosity of Unity and Linwood. We share our rocks with each other. Extra stone, Reverend Nina Clark. There we go. You're good people. You're good people. Future letter, a few more hands. Will you keep your hands up? They'll get you future letters, please. Let's move forward. In this fantastical writing, the book of Revelation, John of Patmos offers, and I quote, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says." Now, given translations, to hear a thing might be interpreted as to obey a thing. So when we read, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says," I don't think it's unreasonable to consider, "He who has an ear, let him obey what the Spirit says. And to him who overcomes," or "to him who obeys what the Spirit says, he will be given two things, the first of which is some of this hidden manna." Now, this manna was the divine sustenance, the divine support promised the people of Israel who would follow inspiration toward a new land that they would come to see only later. Manna was the divine sustenance, the divine support promised the people of Israel who would follow inspiration even at great personal risk toward a land yet unseen. Does anybody relate to these moments? So when Jesus referenced food, when he referenced manna, which others could not see, you understand he was referencing the divine sustenance, the divine support promised to those who would obey what the Spirit says, even at great personal risk toward new lands, which might seem little more than fantasy to everyone else. Now, can you relate? So to him who obeys what the Spirit says, he will be given two things, the first of which is divine sustenance, divine support, the second of which is a white stone, and a new name written on the stone which no one knows but he who receives it, but she who receives it. Now, the particular white stone which you find in your hand was quarried in the vicinity of Bethlehem. It came quite a ways to be with you this morning, you see. Traveled quite a distance. It has a long and rich history dating back centuries. For example, it was a white stone, not unlike the one which you hold in your hand this morning, that was used in elections. As you might imagine, a person voting was given both a white stone and a black stone, and if the person voting cast the white stone, it signaled approval. If the person voting cast the black stone, it signaled rejection. So perhaps it can be said that the white stone which you find in your hand this morning could serve as a symbol of approval, of worthiness. And yet it was such a white stone inscribed with a host's name, which was given as a gift to an honored guest. In this case, the white stone granted the honored guest the authority to order servants about, to purchase items at will. Think of it as something of a vintage Visa card, really. an antiquated Amex, a dated Discover card, perhaps. I'll stop. A medieval MasterCard, maybe. I don't know. Nonetheless, perhaps it can be said that the white stone then represents something of authority or something of abundance. And yet in ancient Greek tradition, when an individual was acquitted of a past misdeed, it was a white stone that was granted to that individual by the judge. And from that point forward, the acquitted individual would display that stone. Isn't that nice? Would display that stone as proof of his freedom from his past. How beautiful is that? And yet in ancient Roman custom, it was the white stone which was awarded to the victor of an athletic game, and the white stone displayed the victor's name and served as his ticket to a grand banquet. And while this is a distinctly Greco-Roman reference, it was not uncommon at all for the Jewish writers to reference the Greco-Roman tradition. It was in Philippians that Paul is cited, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the prize of the upward call of God. So perhaps it can be said that the white stone that you find in your hand this morning serves as a symbol of accomplishment, even overcoming. Fair enough, don't you think? And then the building materials used during the time in which John of Patmos wrote Revelation included white marble. The front of the temple of Asclepius in Pergamum, it was the city that was cited in this text, had white marble pillars engraved with the names of people who were believed to have been healed by God. So perhaps it can be said that the white stone that you find in your hand is symbolic of wholeness or even transformation. It was from this rich and varied history that this morning's reference arose. And while each of these interpretations presents some difficulties to scholars, I hope we can make peace that whether John of Patmos was promising approval or worthiness, authority or abundance, freedom or innocence, whether John of Patmos was promising accomplishment or overcoming, wholeness or transformation, he was promising something really good. Can we agree upon that? He was promising something really good. He who has an ear, let him obey what the Spirit says. To him who obeys what the Spirit says, I will give him divine sustenance, divine support, and I will give him a new beginning. What do you think? Can we take that? I'll give him a new beginning. So here's the deal. I think this beautiful passage is saying that there is an unlimited and infinite life, love, wisdom inside of you. And while we in settings like this, on mornings like this, tend to refer to this life, love, wisdom as God, it really makes no difference what we call it. There is an unlimited and infinite life, love, wisdom inside of you, and this life, love, wisdom is ever pressing to be revealed in the world of form. And because it's unlimited and because it's infinite, quite simply, you don't get to have all of the answers before you give rise to its expression. You don't get to know the end game. You don't get to preview the details of the final destination. And if you will give rise to the promptings of this life, love, wisdom anyway, if you will be courageous enough to obey, support will come. You might not see the support now, but support will come. Although you may be required to leave the comforts of life as you have known it, you will not walk the path alone. And I have to believe that the promise of this passage is that in the end, you will know something of a sweetness beyond words. In the end, you will know something of a soul satisfaction beyond measure. So this ceremony is one in which we declare our willingness to embark upon such a process, one in which we declare our willingness to obey what the Spirit says, even if it's risky, even if no one around us gets it. One in which we declare our willingness to set out for those promised lands that, at least at this time, can only be known in the realms of intuition, of faith, of deep spiritual knowing. This ceremony is one in which we declare our willingness to obey the life, love, wisdom within each of us, trusting that we too will receive our portion of that hidden manna, that divine sustenance, that divine support, and that in the end, we will be made new. It's a ceremony mirrored in the wisdom of the timeless quote. It's one of my favorites. The moment one definitely commits oneself, providence moves to. All sorts of things occur to help one that never would have otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues forth from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man, which no woman could have dreamt would come his way. Whatever you can do, whatever you dream you can, begin it, because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. End quote. This ceremony is a ceremony of boldness. It's bold because the human creature would prefer to be made new, and from that to gather the support, and at last to obey a divine calling. How convenient would that be, after all? Going on the grand adventure without a single moment of vulnerability, without a fleeting iota of risk, rolling down the stream of life with both oars firmly planted in the water and two spares rattling around in the bottom of the boat. How convenient. And yet the order that is set forth in this teaching is that we obey a divine calling, and from that we gather support, and at last we're made new. Like so many matters of spiritual principle, it's counterintuitive, countercultural. Besides, it's been my experience that the human who waits until he has all of the knowledge, the human who waits until he has all of the resources together, usually never gets started anyway. So this morning, you received a future letter document. In a few minutes, you'll have an opportunity to write a letter to your future self. It's an exploration of the what Spirit says portion of this idea. You're welcome to begin writing at any point, but when the music starts, you'll have another 4 minutes or so to complete your letter. We'll ask you to seal it in the envelope, place it in the offering basket when it comes by. The letter will be returned to you unread. We will not read your letter. Your letter will be returned to you sometime in the middle of the year. And if you're like most, you won't even remember that you wrote it. It was this past summer, after an individual finally submitted that letter of resignation to what had been a soul-numbing job, and she returned home to retrieve an envelope from her mailbox. It was addressed in her own handwriting, and in that letter she explored what her life might be like if her creative self-expression were finally given free rein. Imagine that. That's one of 2 such stories from last year alone. So let's begin with a time of reflection, shall we? before we write, take a deep breath with me. And let's ask questions. You know, a question sincerely asked, I believe, is a question that gives rise to a soul-level answer. So let's make our bodies comfortable. Let's place our feet upon the floor, and to that highest part of self, to that life, love, wisdom in which we find ourselves united, let's pose a question. Allow my voice to become your voice as we consider, so what does the Spirit say? He who has an ear, let him obey what the Spirit says. What does the Spirit say this morning? It's a great question. Never mind that it's dangerous. That's the stuff of soul growth. What does the Spirit say? Never mind that it's unlikely. That's the stuff of soul growth. What does the Spirit say? Never mind that it's unpopular. That's the stuff of soul growth. What does the Spirit say? What does the Spirit say this morning? Never mind that the land is yet unseen. That's the stuff of soul growth. What does the Spirit say?
We've all heard this kind of story. Somebody's diagnosed that their time is suddenly short. And in the back of our minds, we wonder, what if that news was mine? Would we do more of the same with the moments that we made? Would we live like we were dying? Why wait? Why wait for that fateful fall, for that wake-up call? Why wait till it's too late? There is only today. We've all heard this kind of story. An earthquake strikes the coast of a distant land. Seems like every time we come together as humankind, we make a different choice. Kindness cuts through all the noise, and we're suddenly united. their dream a secret all their life. Why wait? Why wait? 'Cause if we don't try, oh, that dream may die. Why wait till it's too late? Let the future fall away. Let regret evaporate. There is only today. Why wait?
It was Charles Fillmore. It's Charles Fillmore himself who wrote, "If you have surrendered all to this omnipotent wisdom, then you must take as final what it tells you. You'll find that its guidance is the right course for you, and that in the end it was the only course you possibly could have taken." So in a sense, I think of this white stone as being something of a divine promise, something of a personal covenant, if you will. To him who obeys what the Spirit says, I will give him divine sustenance, divine support, and I will give her a new beginning. And if you can entertain such a notion, then let the white stone, which you find in your hand, let it represent the assurance of that covenant. Now, I have to tell you, I work on this stuff all the time. In fact, I'll tell you more about my What Spirit Says next week in a lesson. I've called it 3 More Years. And if you're like me, I have a pretty strong sense of what I will need to embody as part of my work. And for me, my word for 2018, my word is courage. It's my word. Now, I can hear you thinking, why in the world would a minister need to have courage? But I think that's why I get my word, and you get your word. Right? So take another deep breath. And we'll close this ritual this morning with one final step. Close your eyes again, and let's consider the same question. Let's consider the question, what is the word then? What is the God quality which might be required of me in the new year? What is the God quality which I might be required to embody as part of my work? And when you're ready, write that word on your stone and carry it with you as a reminder of this bold covenant of obedience, of divine sustenance, the promise of new beginning.
Why wait? Why wait? 'Cause if we don't try, oh, that dream may die. Why wait till it's too late? There is only today. Why wait?
So it is.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. And I encourage all of us to lean into this community as we bring about this new image, this new ideal, this new word into our lives. This is a place where we can come alive with that newness, and we will be supported. Now's a time in our service where we have the opportunity to give. Charles Fillmore shares some words about giving that I'd like to share with you. If we have freely received, we must also freely give and keep the substance going, confident in our understanding that our supply is unlimited and that it is always right at hand. Thank you for your gifts.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say
And today, let's not only bless the gifts given, but let's bless our letters, the words we have put on this paper to represent a new energy in each of our lives and in the lives of each other. Let's bless that together. Thank you, God, that your living spirit of truth, expressing through us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, ushers. We are blessed. Every Sunday, we so enjoy seeing friendly and familiar faces. And we also really enjoy seeing those who might be visiting us for the first time. If you are here for the first time and you're a visiting guest, we'd love to just recognize you, if you'd like to be recognized, with a round of applause. So if you just put your hand in the air, we'd love to give you some claps for anyone who might be new. Hi. Hi. Good to see you. We're so glad that you're here. In the seat back in front of you, there is some information. One of the cards is a newcomer's information card, tells you a little bit more about our community, and another one here is a stay in touch card. This gives you the opportunity on the back to leave some of your contact information if you'd like to stay current on things happening here at Unity in Linwood. That amounts to a couple emails a month that are both inspirational and informational. And also, in the information rack to the left of the door, just as you leave the sanctuary, is a DVD. For those of us who have DVD players anymore, things are changing quickly, yes. It's not a live stream thing here happening. This tells you a little bit more about our community. We're so very glad you're here, and you are certainly welcome, as is everyone else, to join us in the Friendship Hall for hospitality and some snacks and beverages after service to continue this conversation. of the new things happening in our lives in 2018 and ahead. We have several announcements of things happening here in our community, and of course, for details and registration specific to all of these events, please visit our welcome and information station in the rear of our sanctuary. And please register for The Body is the Temple of the Soul, a movement experience set to conscious music this Wednesday, January 10th, and every second Wednesday. And please join the UIL prayer chaplains for their quarterly service celebrating our divinity in winter, Wednesday, January 17th. Let us celebrate the darkness that moves us into the inner light by walking an indoor labyrinth and experiencing a circle of wholeness. And mark your schedules for Saturday, January 27th for Spiritual Saturdays with Rabbi Ted Falcon and Father Dan Duvall's Eucharist Liturgy. And please register with Director Cheryl Jones for an event that's coming up. Rehearsals will begin on Saturday, February 3rd for our second annual talent show, UIL on Stage. Not to be missed. Yes, good times. This is a talented group. UIL's small group ministry presents Search for God, a study group starting Monday, January 29th to discuss and apply spiritual principles as taught by Edgar Casey. Using meditation, affirmation, and discussion, take your spiritual practice to the next level with Dr. Jennifer Lovejoy and Fran and Tom Curley. Thank you for your service. And finally, please welcome Linda Babin, Health and Wellness Ministry co-chair, to come on down to the platform for a special invitation.
Thank you, Ken. As Ken suggested, I thought it was a great suggestion, we can help each other lean into our new intention, our white stone word. And your first available opportunity for helping each other do that is this afternoon at 1 o'clock. I'm doing a pretty brief little workshop on Reverend David MacArthur's tool, the Heart Wisdom Tool, and this is how we can access our highest self in any moment, even the ones that are really emotionally charged. It's possible to do that. It's a very simple tool. So come on and talk with us, share with us, learn about this. I've developed a study guide that I will share. Gives you 4 to 6 weeks of thoughts for internalizing this process. I want to also, while I'm here, give a quick plug for Goldie's class. Next Saturday it begins. It's a book study using the book Intention Heals, 3 Saturdays in a row from 9 a.m. to 10:30 in the morning. Really juicy material. So hope you can avail yourself of those opportunities.
Thank you, Linda. That's a lot of events happening here, and if that was too much to remember, just grab a Returning to Light postcard in the back, which details all upcoming UIL events. All good things happening here at Unity Linwood can be found in your printed program by visiting our Facebook page or the calendar page of our website at unityandlinwood.org.
And all of the books for the upcoming study groups are available in the gift shop at 20% off. And I also want to invite you to a concert at the end of this month, January 28th at 1 p.m. after second service. Aaron English, if you remember here from last year, amazing. Elizabeth Hereza and Carolyn Caruso on Hammer Dulcimer will be here for an afternoon of music, and they are world-class musicians, so I invite you back. It's on a love offering basis. If you'll join me, we'll sing our peace song.
So if there's a first name of any soul whom you would like to introduce into this consciousness of love and support, please do so at this time. So on behalf of all those names offered, whether with the human tongue or the human heart, it matters not, on behalf of all who have turned something of a spiritual ear to this conversation, it's with great faith, it's with great boldness that we lift our voices together and speak these closing words of affirmation. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
The light of God surrounds us. The power of God protects. The presence of God watches over us, and all is well. The love of God enfolds us. Wherever we are, God is. We are safe, we are cherished, and all is well. All is well.
We'll close our time as we always do by speaking our words, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Happy New Year. Are they made?